What's up, everybody at home? Welcome to another exciting episode of Izinja zeGame, proudly brought to you by MTN FC. We all know that, the show wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for MTN FC. Shout out to you, MTN FC. Good looking out. And obviously the fans at home that have been supporting us. We're all doing this just for you guys. Our guest today is one of the most decorated players in local football, having won 50 major trophies during his 16-year career, including 5 league titles in a row. He came through the School of Excellence. We all know that, the School of Excellence, what it used to do, the likes of Skilo, likes of Ninja Mufukeng, Skakes. He should know Skakes. I mean, what a talent. I played with him at Wits University. Obviously, because of the behavior and the lifestyle and whatever, we all know what happened to my boy. He was in the show also. This is a guy that played for SuperSport, Bidvest, Chippa United, and Orlando Pirates. And he also won 14 caps with Bafana Bafana. Many would say he should have gotten more. We've seen a lot of great players. I mean, Thabo Moki, me as well. With 7 caps. Daine is one of those. I mean, he was the most successful PSL player who only had 14 caps. Now, come on, guys. If it's not about talent, maybe somebody do keep a nyugunyana call site in there and there. But guys, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Daine Klate. They call you Stiga. I don't know why they call you. Were you named after Stiga? I don't know what.
Yeah, I think I was at the School of Excellence at the time.
Oh.
And then I dyed my hair. I think I was 16 years old or something. Stiga. And that time it was that old blonde era.
Yeah.
So when people used to see me, they used to think I'm Stanton Fredericks. That's where that name.
So much pressure.
From,
I mean, I played with Stiga. Great guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked after me when I first came into the game when I was with Wits. Nice guy. Till today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, just people naming you after him. Didn't you feel a bit of pressure?
Yeah, he was wearing number 10 at Chiefs at that point. And that was before I was still at the School of Excellence watching him do his thing, So yeah, he's one of my mentors as well. When I stepped into the PSL, he was one of the first people that around Johannesburg, because I was kind of stepping out into Johannesburg.
Yeah.
After being at the School of Excellence for 3 years.
This guy. I mean, I've seen you doing a bit of commentating. I don't know. Sometimes I see you, sometimes I don't see you. Sometimes I see you coaching for Chippa when you lasted for a week. We all know what happens there. Yeah, and you also coach. What's the other team there?
Marcia.
Yeah, Marcia as well. What are you doing, bro? What is Klate doing lately?
Look, I'm still busy with my UEFA license. Got a couple of session plans to do, and then I'll be completing that. And then obviously you need to have that for 1 year, and then you have to apply to do the pro license. So the aim is to eventually have the pro license in the next probably 2 to 3 years. And I've got a lot of time in this space of coaching, so I'm really taking my time. And it's similar to development as a player. You go through different phases of development. And when I took the Chippa job, I asked myself, what am I doing? Went to Durban in the preseason camp, and I sat in the room that one night, and I'm like, I was alone in the room, and I sat in the room and I asked myself, Daine, I looked in the mirror, I said, Daine, what are you doing?
For real, it's one of those things
how are you gonna be different in this environment?
Yeah, but one of those, it happens to a lot of us.
Yeah, but then the logic and the thinking behind going there was to learn as fast as I can.
Oh yeah.
And of course, I was at the Disky, and we ended 4th, and I did really, really well in the Disky, and I really enjoyed my season in the Disky and my development and the decisions I made, and no interference from anybody. And it was like running our own little club with Coach Bruce July, and we managed to prepare those boys through a good preseason, like a proper preseason. I had a good season with him, from start to finish. It was proper preseason. We scouting the players, we making decisions, we saying recruiting. We've got a style of play, and with Coach Bruce, he can spot talent from miles away. He's never brought a player to me, and every player that is recommended and said, Coach, watch this boy, has been
top class. Yeah.
Top class. Yeah. And so he brought all the players, we put the team together, and I just coached him because he said to me, our relationship has always been, he said, I'm a very good coach. He's a very good talent spotter.
Yeah.
That's why we worked well together. Even he was my assistant coach at Chippa United when they took him away in the Sundowns game. I was thrown to the sharks.
So do you think like now the owners like one Chippa, what's his name?
Mr. Chippa United.
Yeah. I mean the CEO is watching. He's like, this guy's doing well. And then who was coaching the first team then? Was an ex Sundowns player.
It was. There was at one stage. It was Coach Larson was coaching there.
Yeah.
And then Coach. There were so many coaches that came.
He lost count. So
when I played for the club, it started with me going back there and playing for them for one season. I think I had 4 starts, but that year I really decided that if this is how football is, then I want out. I want out. Let me move to my next life.
Crazy, right? Crazy. And like you get up there now, you get a chance to coach, obviously the senior team. You're like, okay, I've done well with the young ones. You thought probably it's gonna be easy now. Like did you think it was gonna be easy?
No, not
one of those.
No, not at all. The main aim of going there was the youngsters that I worked with. I can now directly promote them. And I can directly have influence now of them, giving them opportunity to play.
Yeah.
Because we tried to bridge the gap when Coach Gavin Hunt was there. How we bridged the gap was 4, 5, 6, 8 of them will train with the first team. On that intensity, on that level, and then they come and play weekends. I get them on a Thursday, and it's the same philosophy. And it's a high pressing game. It's and I've got my own little style as well. Where I added into the development of these players, because remember they are in development and Gavin Hunt wants them ready. So my duty is then to take them through the development phases, and not only to teach them about the coach's philosophy, but to teach them about the football philosophy and where they might end up one day.
Right, principles.
So that's where that's the school I come from. I came from a school of excellence where we weren't allowed to kick the ball away. People think I'm a winger. I'm not even a winger. I hated playing wing. I must be honest with you. I hated playing left wing. I absolutely hated it. Where I found the most joy is when I was playing inside. And that's where I grew up in the game.
Inverted, like, number 10.
It's a 4-3-3 formation. And I'm one of the midfielders. So I could make runs at the school of excellence. I used to make runs into the areas to go and cross the ball and be in and around the box. And that's where my game grew. That's how I grew up in the game. I started out as a striker, out and out striker. But under 10.
What? You striker?
They kicked the ball.
Do you understand how small you were when you were playing?
Look, they kicked the ball.
Now you picked up a bit of weight, but when you were playing, we all know how. As a striker, boys.
The speed, they kick the ball over the head, and then you run, and then the wind is blowing in PE, and I'm fast, and I'm, and I just end up getting 1v1s all the time, But then that kind of phased out of me.
Oh yeah.
And I dropped a little bit back because now you're starting to learn about the game and being on the ball and being involved in play and assisting, and not only about scoring. And by age 12, 13, my mindset was already on how effective can I be, and student of the game. And then I went to the School of Excellence, and everything just went,
we're going to come to that. We're going to talk about the School of Excellence thing. We're going to come into that. I mean, you spoke about, the transition. Like now, you're a coach. You taught your boys like how you've seen the game when you're still with the School of Excellence. And we all know how Coach Gavin Hunt coaches wants football.
Yeah.
Wings, crosses, header in.
Correct.
So like when you guys like clashing most of the time, because now you're teaching the young ones that you had for like a season, 2 seasons, how to keep the ball. They got to keep the ball and whatever. And Coach Gavin Hunt wants straight up football, straight up to the goals. When you guys clashing most of the time?
Not at all. I think football has a universal language.
Yeah.
So you try and prepare a player that will fit into that. So your wingers must be nappy. 1v1s, they must be good. All the attributes of a winger in any club is going to be probably similar, unless you're going to have inverted wingers, which we all know Gavin and does not rely on any inverted wingers. Yeah. So quick wingers, midfielders that's strong, that can bite, defenders that can hit a ball. The first attribute that Gavin wants of any defender is to hit a ball. Yeah. So we'll spend time...
Do your job and that's it.
Yeah, we'll spend time...
I want you to play. Yeah.
Yes, we'll spend time doing that. I was in many training sessions with him, so I know how to prepare his type of way. So I would stand on the halfway line, kick a few balls up in the air. Let's see the movement, who's going to jump, who's going to cover, how they behave when the ball is in the air, attacking the ball, and those type of sessions, So you try and prepare them for what the first team coach also wants, but in their own right as well, you teach them as footballers. The modern game works in different ways. At some stages, we need to play 3-5-2. At some stages, we get a red card, we need to change the formation. So all those things was in training all the time. We created scenarios. I love creating scenarios at training based on the game. I'll have a ball in my hand and the game will be on. All of a sudden, I'll say counter attack because let me see the behavior of the defense and the rest defense, and then it gives you opportunity to coach.
Transition from attack to defense.
Yeah, because now you're preparing them mentally that at any given time, you're going to have to be defending. It's not going to be as sudden as this, but I'm preparing you that what if it's this sudden?
Be proactive. When these guys are taking there, you defenders, you don't just relax and be like, I'm resting. You already starting to defend. And
correct,
So that's what you're teaching your boys.
That's what I... That's what I, as a player in the modern game, everybody knows tactics. Everybody can go into Google. There's different informations, but ultimately it comes into a question as to what type of coach am I? I can take a little bit of Gavin, I can take a little bit of Ruud Krol, I can take a little bit of Clinton Larson, I can take a little bit of every coach that I've worked with. Coach Augusto Palacios, I can Eric Tinkley worked with Coach Roger de Saar, the calmness that he possesses during a match, his aura, so I always said that I would love to take a little bit from everybody, and then eventually I will learn about myself, which is the path that I'm on now, is learning what type of coach I am.
We had Teko here, and Teko was talking about like Benny, and it's great to hear like the guys that have done it before at the highest level. And you hear like the players after him talking so nice about him that he set me up. I'm doing the coaching. I'm coaching because of him. I played like this because of him. What is it about like Benny, bruh? Like I know like he had an influence in you like coaching right now.
He helped me get into the Northern Irish FA as well for my UEFA licenses. I was in 2014 December. Me and my family went to London and we went for a weekend to Benny in Scotland. And I was watching him, how he was doing his work, his coaching work, his session plans. And, I had a conversation with him and I sat with him there and he explained to me this is how it works. And I was like, but these are sessions that I can see that we are actually doing these type of sessions. And I was like, yes, that's what coaching is about. And he inspired me. And of course, when it was when I decided that I want to go the coaching route, I was always going to go the UEFA route. Because that's globally, and the ambition is always not to be in South Africa. There's always ambition to be. I didn't have the opportunity as a player to go and play in Europe or anywhere in the Middle East. And my time and my space in the coaching is a lot. There's a lot of years ahead. It's not as a player, the 10, 15 years span, coaching can span long 25, 30 years. So I understand that I also need to be patient in this process, but that's what Benny taught me as well. Benny was doing that. I'm talking 2014, he was doing his coaching. We're in 2025 now.
Already?
2025, it's 11 years later.
He was still playing, right? When he was doing this? So he was still playing?
No, he had just, 2014, he had just retired.
Okay.
That was the season I think the 2012, 2013 season was the last season at Pirates. And then 2014, I think he moved back to Scotland. So for me, I think the role that he also plays in, he inspires, and he's a fantastic human being off the field. He's an amazing person. That arrogant person you see on the field there, that's the winner, that's the passion, that's the Benny we know. But off the field, gentle giant.
He can have a beer with you and just laugh. But on the field, he's a totally different animal.
Different animal when it comes to the field. You don't win Champions Leagues if you don't have the right mentality.
When you go to School of Excellence, who are the guys that you met there, bro? The young ones that ended up being famous.
Yeah, of course you've heard about the School of Excellence before going there. The Transnet School of Excellence with Stephen Pienaar, and there was the whole Simba era. Where the Simba was very into grassroots football in the Chappies League. So when Chiefs and Pirates used to play, or Swallows and Pirates used to play at FNB Stadium, there used to be a curtain raiser.
Curtain raisers,
and that happened with us in PE at the Telkom Stadium. So there was still Micha Juarez at the time.
Yes, I remember.
Or there was a Four Nations tournament in 1995, if I'm not mistaken, 96, somewhere there around, and it was still down in PE. It was Ghana and South Africa, and I think it was Zimbabwe and Angola. I think it was a Four Nations tournament, and we would then play curtain raisers in the Chappies Little League. And the atmosphere used to be electrifying back then.
I never got to play that. I hear it was nice, bro.
It was really good. It was really. I've seen it at FNB Stadium because. What was it? Top Sport. I think it was Top Sport.
Back in the days. They
used to play those matches before the actual Soweto derby.
Yeah, yes. I
Skykes and
remember,
them.
yeah.
It used to be
That's when you
Skykes,
saw-
it used to be
That's when
Skara,
you saw
Steven Pienaar.
Liquili and them. They used to be part of it.
Yeah, Steven Pienaar used to be. They used to run those matches. Him and Skykes and them and
Yeah,
Ninja Mofokeng and them.
Skykes.
Yeah, they used to run those matches.
Tell me about Skate. How was it just seeing? I mean, you played in the same position with Skate.
I came when by the time I joined School of Excellence.
Yeah, he was gone.
That generation has then left the school. Steven Pienaar, Skykes, Ninja Mofokeng. Ninja was at Ajax Amsterdam at the time. Steven has just signed for Ajax Cape Town in the year 2000 when I got to the School of Excellence.
Skate was with Wits.
Yeah, and then Skate was with Wits at that time, you know. But there was role models. There was always, and those players used to come visit the school all the time.
Yeah.
You know, so instead of just hearing from them and having seen them play those chappies at the league on TV, you know, and how you with them and opportunities now at the School of Excellence used to play in those matches.
Yeah.
You know, by the time I got to the school, that was not there anymore because of whatever reason. So,
you used to travel. I think you used to do more European tours more.
Yeah.
Then, like, you know, playing far. We didn't know about those tournaments, but that helped you. That kind of like set you up.
The KFC tournament, the school's tournament, we went on with Coach Mandla and we won it in my second year. You know, and then we ended up going to America and we ended up going to the Milk Cup. That's where Jeffrey Ntuka, Boybe Mosia, the late Jeffrey Ntuka and Boybe Mosia, both of them are late, sadly.
Yeah.
And Mosila Madubi was still in Belgium. That's the opportunity. The Milk Cup is where Chelsea signed the three of them, and then they ended up at Westerlo back in the day.
I see a lot of teams, and I've always, like, you know, looked at it like that. More if Chiefs, Sundowns, SuperSport take the young ones to go play in those tournaments, 2 or 3 players might be left there. That said, you know, it gives a lot of us like opportunities, but I don't see it happening like it used to, like back in the days.
Yeah, you know, it's also come about making money. So there's the danger of creating opportunity.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I didn't pay a cent. You know, the development was taken seriously in South Africa. I think development, the sponsorships that there was for development, because I cannot remember my mom having to take out money for me to travel to an interprovincial tournament, for example. And that tournament itself I ran. So the bus, the accommodation, everything used to be booked. How did we go so far back when I didn't pay a cent in 1999 to be part of interprovincial tournament? And now it's so difficult because everything costs money. And if talent wants to be spotted, and you're arranging friendlies against the teams that we have a club in Ibai FC in down in PE, and we're trying to do that. The boys came up now for a week just to judge ourselves against GDL teams, Chiefs, Sundowns. You know, we played against those type of teams so that you can get those boys out there and also see if we are doing the right things down there, because winning 8-0, 7-0, 5-0 down there and dominating leagues and taking everything down in PE is one thing. But coming out and playing against a team that's competing on different levels, that's part of academies, it's part of national teams, that's where I want to gauge those boys. And that's what we are trying to achieve with how we do it. But I think, you know, creating opportunity for me is what I want to do, because I went through that development and I had an opportunity to become a professional player, and I know how much that changes your life. And the reason I'm in football is for that reason still. Is that I want to now then give someone else an opportunity to also experience what I did, and why not even go better than me?
How does Daine like end up at SuperSport, bro? Who saw you now when you're at School of Excellence, you're doing so well, and then suddenly, like, you know, somebody, how's that called? Like, are they calling you up at school and saying, okay, you might be going for trials at SuperSport, or how did this happen?
Yeah, it happens directly from the School of Excellence. My matric year, SuperSport has already decided that they want to sign me. That was approved by Coach Pitso. Coach Kopo was the one who scouted me.
Kopo Kwanele.
Coach Kwanele Kopo, yeah.
You know, I played with him at Wits.
Yes. I remember. Yeah,
he was a good player.
Yeah, he had to retire very, very young because of injury, of course.
Yeah, he was a good player. People don't know that, like, quick. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I found he was with the reserves team. Yeah. So, like, I was one of those that just got promoted from under 19, and then boom, first team. Yeah. And he didn't make it. He kept on going to school. Yes. And then now he's a great coach. Like, people don't understand it.
No, he had a big role in my move from the School of Excellence to the SuperSport Academy, the Village of Dreams. So I had scored against him in the Bale in 2001 in the quarterfinals. It was quarterfinals in Cape Town. And Coach Pitso Coach Kopo has then invited Coach Pitso to come and have a look at me. And that was the game that
Link-ups.
I scored against. Wayne Sandlands was in goal.
Yeah.
Myself, Bobby Mosia, Chifrin Tuka, Masile Modubi. That was the team that the School of Excellence was having back then. So since that game where we beat them, Coach Koppa after the quarterfinal game came to me and said, listen, you got to consider SuperSport. And by then I was in grade 11 and you weren't allowed to leave the school until grade 12. So Coach Koppa kept tabs on me. Even the following year, he kept tabs on me, and it was Coach Pitso had one look at me, according to what Coach Pitso says, and he said to Coach Koppa that he needs to sign me. And I spent a year in the under-19s with Coach Koppa at the Village of Dreams in Auckland Park, but then I got promoted to the first team after
2004.
Yeah, so I turned 18 when I joined the academy.
Yeah,
just matriculated.
Yeah,
I was still studying sports management that year. SuperSport still put me through school as well at the Boston College for a year.
Finished that?
I did a diploma. Yeah, I finished it. Yeah, I think I got something like 80-something%.
You were not like all this other.
So
There's
you
a
do
few
the coaching.
that are like you, bro. Like it's not a lot of us. Like it's
Yeah.
probably like 5% of players
Yeah.
that are able to do that. So you're one of those as well. That way.
Yeah, but the regret
Just do
is that if I think back, I'm thinking to myself, why did you not get your degree while you were playing?
Yeah.
All those days in camp when I went to Egypt and not doing anything
Yeah.
after training in the
Truth.
morning.
Yeah.
you
Truth. Yeah.
Ended up chilling at the resort. I could
Yeah.
have been studying. So, but it's never too late. I think my aim is still to get a sports science degree.
Like same names come up every time when I realize like the guys that I bring here. And these are the people that have played like a big role in like South African football. Your legacy as well. And like a lot of other legacies that a lot of players have built. Pito, Gavin Hunt. Who's the other one? You gotta help me right now. Stuart Baxter. What is it about Pito and what is it about these three coaches, bro? Let me talk about the ones that you work with.
Yeah,
like Pito and Gavin.
Yeah, Coach Baxter gave me my debut in the Bafana setup in 2005 in the US. I came on against Guatemala and then I started against Panama in the quarterfinals. That was my only start that I got from Coach Stuart Baxter. And that Coach Pitso was his work ethic. If you looked at Coach Pitso at the beginning of his coaching career, I was fortunate to be there. I was at the beginning of my football career as well. And by the time I got to SuperSport was playing Champions League and Confederations Cup with Coach Bruce Grobela.
Yeah.
But by the time I got promoted to the first team, Coach Pitso had then coached, I think he was into his second season already as the head coach of SuperSport. And SuperSport was progressing, and his work ethic was unbelievable. I stood behind the goals the first month after joining the first team because remember the coach had 36, 37 players.
Yeah.
There was Pitso Lakone, there was Tsoyo Mokoro, Peter Kobani, Abram Prasalamane, Tembam Guni, Ricardo Katsa, so I came into that environment. Gaetano Tembo was still playing at the time.
Yes.
So I came into an environment where I was carrying water. I had to make sure that the cooler box was emptied. I have to make sure that the water bottles must be washed. If there's a pair of boots there, I need to go and polish it. Because the senior guys would just put their boots and they won't tell you to do it. You must have it in you to go and polish their boots. So the polish is there, the brushes is there. They'd come in there, they throw
The initiation.
Yeah, the Copa Mundial. That time there wasn't the colorful boots. It was all leather still.
Yeah.
So
Patrick, it was Patrick,
so
Copa
those-
Mandual, Adidas.
yeah, so those values, that got installed. You weren't allowed on the massage table because
What?
you were a youngster. What are you doing in the massage table? So I was 19 at the time.
Yeah, what
18.
muscles
I
did
was
you have
18.
anyway?
Yeah, 18 years old, 19 years old. At the time,
Yo.
you're not allowed those perks. And then later on, it becomes your perks. Now you don't have. By the time I got to Wits, I was one of the senior players. I would still help carry the goals and all that. This is part of you. It's part of
Because
who you
that's
are.
the person you are.
Yeah, all the youngsters there,
Yeah.
they're complaining, and then I would go there and carry it, and like, look, this guy, nothing happened to me.
So you think you were as a senior player, you're more softer than the guys that you found at SuperSport or the guys that we found when we first entered the game?
I think I was soft to a certain extent, but I couldn't be as harsh as those guys back in the day. It was
we're
fickle.
hard, eh?
Yeah, the youngsters was
Crazy.
fickle. They
Yeah.
were very, very fickle. You
Yeah.
can't scold them. You can't. And you had to take it. You take everything on the chin.
Yeah.
And that's just one thing that I've learned along the way is that the values that I got growing up, breaking into SuperSport's first team,
Yeah.
and how I developed and how all the senior players helped me throughout. Peter Kobani, Ricardo Katsa, they all around me.
One of the best captains you
They
guys
were
have ever
very,
had.
they were always complimenting
Yeah.
me because of my attitude.
Yeah.
And that's why I reached the heights that I did, because the amount of people that was behind me and wanted me to succeed was a lot, and a lot in the game. You know,
Who was the striker that lost his life then?
Abram Rasalamane is the one.
what a
May his soul
player,
rest in peace. He was a
His
great
soul.
player. And look, listen.
Yes,
let
yes,
me
what a
tell you,
player.
transition after life after football is difficult. Life after football gets very, very difficult. You know,
Yeah.
may his soul rest in peace. He of course succumbed to mental health.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not nice.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see the stigma attached is starting to change slowly. You know, as we go along, we need to speak about these things as guys, what we go through, because it's difficult.
Like what you say. 2004, you do your debut. How old were you? Like, you know, SuperSport. Like,
I was it was October 2004. 18. I was
the Coca-Cola
18.
Cup as a
Yeah,
sub.
18. I was turning 19. The February. It was October. It was the Coca-Cola Cup. Yeah. No, Coca-Cola Cup Loftus. Yeah,
Yes.
Coca-Cola
How
Cup.
do you remember that?
I remember I was wearing. I even remember the boots I wore. I wore the F50 with the shocking green.
Yeah.
Black and shocking green. The first generation of F50.
Yeah.
I was wearing that F50 for that match.
When did you know that you were part of the 18 going to camp?
Coach Pizzo there was a lot of suspensions and injuries.
Yeah.
So I then came on against Bushbucks for that Coca-Cola Cup game, because they were trying to rest players for, I think there was a Chiefs game or Pirates game that was coming up or something to that effect. And then then I went to under 20 camp, and then it was November. At October I made my debut. By the end of November, beginning December, it was the Coca-Cola Cup.
Yeah.
And we had then played Manning Rangers, the league match before the semi-final against Santos. Wits, before Wits, we played Wits at Potchefstroom.
I remember that.
This was 2004.
I think I remember that game.
Because remember, I made my debut and we ended up in the final of the Absa Cup.
Yeah.
The 2014, even the Coca-Cola Cup as well. And then I made my cup debut against Chiefs. I came on the cup final in Bloemfontein in 2004, end of 2004, after the SAA. We went on to the Coke final. Mbasuma still scored the winner. I actually came off the bench halftime. My first touch I scored, but it was incorrectly ruled offside. I remember Kevin Sibeko. Played a true pass, and I made it. Raul Fernandez was in goals, and I still scored that. But then we ended up losing that game 1-0. But that's 2004 Bushbucks with Loftus, and then Manning Rangers was my debut, starting lineup.
It was always so difficult playing against Bushbucks. Then you had the Silver Fox.
Yeah.
Was Coco there? Was Coco still there before you went to Chiefs? He was still there, right? Was he still
no?
Not there?
I think he had then just
Signed
joined
for
Chiefs 2004 around there. 2003, I think he joined Chiefs.
He played against the twins, the Mugays. They were still there.
The Mugays were there. Who else was back then? They were playing in East London, I know. Their home
with the small airport,
it was just before Independence Stadium got rolled out from not being compliant with the PSL.
Took you 3 years to win your first league title with SuperSport. I mean, that journey.
Yeah.
Now, was it Pizzo or was it?
No, because Gavin and just joined. Pizzo was just joined Bafana that time.
Just left. Obviously, the foundation is still there. Coach Gavin takes over 3 years later into the game. Now you win your first title, with the SuperSport. How was just that team? What is so special about that team, bro? That SuperSport team.
It was. We started at the beginning of the season. There was a big reluctance towards how Coach Gavin operated, because he was completely different to Coach Pizzo.
Yeah.
The style of coaching, the methods, the training, everything was completely different.
Yeah.
The first 5 matches we had 2 points, I think. We were dead last on the table after 5 matches. We went to Pretoria, somewhere in Wonderboom, to do a team building exercise. And we're thinking, we're gonna go, it's paintball shooting, it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, it's gonna be fun. It ended up being a Kamp Staaldraad. We started.
What is that?
Man.
What's that? Hold up, what's that?
I tell you what.
No, I gotta know, bro. What's that?
I'm gonna explain to you.
What's that?
Man, listen. We got there. Everything looked fine. we went up the mountain, do push-ups and sit-ups. Then they gave you two guys with a log. I think the log was about 10 meters, about a 10-meter log, and then the two of you have to carry it. And we ended up walking probably about, I think about 5, 6, 7 kilometers.
What a team!
We ended up walking that, and then we decided, wait a minute,
What
but
a
we don't
team
know
building.
where we're walking to. We don't know when must we turn back or what we're supposed to do here. All they said is, take the logs, go that way. And we ended up going that way. And after that, you think it can't get worse. We threw it down. We decided, this is team building, team spirit. Everybody, leave everything just here. We are going back. We got back. Then it was time to prepare for the evening. Now, I didn't even know. You don't bring clothes. You don't bring anything. It's a team building exercise. You're thinking you're coming. And you're
Going back home. So you didn't bring anything.
We all came with our cars as well. It's parked there by the nice paintball. But we're nowhere near that paintball place where we left the cars. So we don't even have access to it. We're somewhere here where I don't know where we were. And they make us roll. We play the game, tires. It's hills and sand and it's fun and
it's
games.
Obstacle
course type of thing.
Yeah.
After obstacle course, they say, right, here's each one here's an egg. This is your breakfast. Right? You make a hole.
Whoa.
You plant the egg into the hole. You must pee on the egg and then put leaves on top. And
Pee?
then you dug a hole into the ground. And then you put leaves, you put your boiled egg there. It's a raw egg. You put it in there, you put leaves on top, you put sand, whatever, you make a fire on top of that. So that heat extracts to the bottom.
Okay.
So tomorrow morning you are going to fetch your boiled egg for breakfast.
That you peed on.
You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, from there, that's done.
Yeah.
They take us into like it's within the forest. It's like a forest. They drop you off one by one, put a sleeping bag. You must find your way. Man, the mosquitoes, you don't even know if there's snakes there or whatever the case may be. I didn't sleep that night. By the break of dawn, it's like 4 a.m. I had maybe just fell asleep like 15 minutes. Wake up call comes. Everybody up, we're going through a dam. At that dam, I think I came out of that dam, I had an allergic reaction. But there was no medication, there was nothing around us. We just had to carry on. And when we came out of that, we came back. By then I was tired. Everybody's exhausted, mentally drained. When we got back to where Gavin them were and waiting for us, there was a big braai with everything you need, ribs, steaks, whatever you wanted was there. But what we had gone through has left something in us, and we went 16 games unbeaten and ended up winning the league from being 2 points after 5 matches. But everything just changed. The mentality changed towards the coach and what the coach wanted to achieve. We started buying into it. It started going both ways, and that's when it started working. It's when we bought into what Coach Gavin accepted, that Coach Pizza was no longer here.
Yeah.
Coach Gavin is now here as well, and we are not used to changing coaches. Whatever coach comes to SuperSport here must stay at SuperSport. That was the players love that. That's the one thing that SuperSport had, was stability when it came to coaches. And that's how I grew up into the game. That's why when I came to Chippa at the back end of my career, I realized 3 coaches within 6 months. I'm not used to this. I've never seen anything like this. Yeah. And that's when I decided that I want to retire now.
The same type of group that you were with in that SuperSport, and we looked at it. I was talking to Ryan before that, and like most of the players that were in that core squad, most of the players ended up going to Sundowns. Sundowns winning the league.
Yeah.
Some of the players went to Wits. Wits won the league. But and SuperSport doesn't get like credit for it. A lot of people thinking this and this, but 4 or 5 players, wherever they went after leaving SuperSport, wherever they went, those teams won the league. What is it about SuperSport or them picking out those type of players? What is it about the type of players that you guys were that
When
are
you-
influencing that type of mentality into the game.
when you've won the league consecutively 3 times, like we've done, you get an idea as to how to win a league title, and each and every individual takes away something with him. I understood why we won. I started understanding why we're winning. You started studying as to it's easier to defend the league title than to actually win your first league title.
Yeah.
You know, and when you get into those situations and you experience it. Now, for example, I'll make an example. When I got to Pirates, we made the MTN8 final. Penalty shootout. We're going to penalty shootout. What I saw before, by the end of the match, we were leading 1-0 the entire match. Swallows an equalizer in the 86th minute. And I look around me and the heads are dropping. Like, almost like, here we go again. Because there's been no trophy. And it was time up. And we went into a huddle and I said, guys, we've not lost this game. I said, actually, we've now decided that we're going to do it the difficult way. We must now do it the difficult way, but we got to keep on pushing. I looked at Happy, Lucky, Roy, all those players. Very, very good players. But I saw then and there, they've got this fear. They haven't won in a long time, and here we go again. And I could sense that, and I really had to go. And penalty shootout came, and I was like, I'm kicking first. And I scored in the match the penalty. And I was like, guys, I'm going first. And I scored the first penalty. And I was like, we got to do it the hard way. This is the way we have to do it.
So you stepped up.
And we ended up winning it, and from there on in, we just kept on winning. But I took away so much from SuperSport with me into another environment. And people say, lucky charm. Okay, maybe lucky charm. But you know what? The work, the mentality to become champions, it's relentless. It's never give up attitude, and not many teams has got that. Ajax came close to winning the league every single time, but they missed out every single time at the end. So much so that it affected them negatively in the end.
What is it? It's more the attitude than talent.
No, it's more. Yeah, it's more that when the chips is down, who's gonna stand up? And I was one of those players where, when it was difficult, give me the ball then. If you don't want the ball, give the ball to me. I will cross the ball. I will try and make something. If it's a free kick, I will kick it. If there's a penalty that's going to come now and nobody wants to take it, I'll take it. That's the mentality you got to have. And once it rubs over to everybody else, like I'm saying, after the MTN8 success with Pirates, we ended up losing against you guys 3-0 in the Telkom final. So part of winning is also handling losses along the way. And it's not nice to lose a cup final, but we did it. But then we went on to win the league and the Nedbank Cup. We played in every single final that year. And then the following year, we defended the MTN8 again.
Yes.
And we defended the Telkom again. So we won another treble. So that, then Benny came, and it just adds on to more success.
People always think that the people that are wearing the armband are the ones that are running the team. He was a leader, but he didn't have to wear that armband. He stepped up on the field. You know what I mean? And people don't understand that, there's a lot of leaders. So when you have leaders in your team, it's not the person that's wearing the armband, but you can have 5, 6 leaders in the team. You already have won the game. That's 100%. What I think Kaizer Chiefs maybe needs, sorry to
for sure. 100%.
Those type of players in the team that even if there's a captain, but you got 6 more Mats in the team that are saying, okay, our captain is having a bad day. We are there to shield him now.
Yes.
We carry the team. And that's what he was. You know what I mean? So you saying that there was a lot of 6 other players in that team.
Everywhere I won the league titles. If I go back to SuperSport, you had Brent Carlson, David Kannemeyer, Glenn Salmon, Ricardo Katza, experienced players that is used to that winning became a culture.
Yeah.
And then you go to Pirates and you get Lucky Lagwatis, you get Happy Jele, you get Roy Mahamutsa, you get Robin Johannes was with us that first season as well. What a top player.
Ace was with you guys as well, right?
Yes,
Ace
correct.
Was,
correct.
Charlie
it was
stubborn,
up and coming
guys, just a
very,
leader,
very stubborn on the field of play. So I think taking away a lot from SuperSport, and you can see that the Bochum the Slompo Kakana came from SuperSport to Dennis Onyango came from SuperSport. And those are players that won titles with me as well. The Bocho Langerman won with me at SuperSport. So they come from winning. And that's why I always say, if a team like Chiefs wants to win, you got to go there with these winners. You got to go sign winners. You got to
And
go
you got,
sign
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah,
Stellenbosch.
yeah.
You got to
Oh,
go sign. You know, they winning cups. You know, they there and they players can compete. The Adams, he went to Sundowns. He's shown whatever Stellenbosch is doing and how they're doing it. SuperSport had that master plan back in the day. Of course, they're losing it a little bit now for whatever reasons. But I think Stellenbosch is the team that's taking over from SuperSport now in terms of player
oh,
development.
yeah. Why leave SuperSport and go to Pirates? I mean, you won like 3 back-to-back championships. You've won like probably like 4 MTN 8 cups. It's a lot, bro. 100 caps. Did you get a jersey, by the way? Like, you know, did they give you 100 caps for a SuperSport 24 goals? And now you have done so much for them. Why Pirates? Why leave SuperSport?
No, SuperSport has done. I didn't expect anything like that from them. Number one, I think what they have done for me and how they've looked after me while I was there. I had zero problems. My life just improved constantly from season to season. By the time I left SuperSport, I was probably one of the top earners as well. And that's what you've always wanted, you know.
Yeah.
When people talk about loyalty, I said that was loyalty. And of course, I actually had to move to Pirates the season before I moved. I by then I agreed all the terms. SuperSport gave permission. Sundowns was after me. Dr. Patrice Machepe really wanted me to come that way. But I only had one ambition, you know, and that was to join Pirates purely because of I grew up supporting Pirates, and Dr. Ivan Koza already had made contact with me. I've already had a meeting with him with SuperSport's permission. So everything was handled so to the T, you know, that I couldn't betray the chairman after agreeing with him the season before, and then SuperSport putting the last minute and saying, "Yeah, give us one more season." I was livid. I had massive fight with SuperSport my last season I was there, and I actually became the player of the season. Those are the parts that people don't have no clue about. There was meetings. I had to go to meetings to Sandton with my stepdad all the time, because there's no end to this thing, and I've agreed, I'm leaving, I'm going, and SuperSport was like, one more season, and then you can go. They were trying to hold on for Sundowns as well.
Oh,
you understand? So there was a whole.
I see what you say. More money that side.
There was all those things coming, but I've made up my mind, because I've seen Sundowns at that particular time was not the Sundowns that it is now. It took a very long time for Sundowns to be the Sundowns that
20
it
years
was,
to be exact.
you know?
Yeah,
and Dr. Patrice Machepe used to say he wants to dominate. And I met with him. I met with him in Sandton the one day, just bumped into each other, and he's like, you know, we're really interested in signing you. But by then, I've had a gentleman's agreement with Dr. Koza to say that I'm joining, and I'm not going to turn back now. And
you already signed, or it was just a verbal
agreement? It was a verbal agreement. Everything was. I thought I was going to sign. I'm talking about. I'm probably going to sign in the next week.
Yeah.
You know, and then SuperSport pulled the plug. We played Amazulu in the MTN 8.
Yeah.
The first match, and I got taken off halftime because my mind was all over the place.
Oh yeah.
I had a big fight with Gavin. I didn't even come out of the change room second half because my mind was all. I'm like, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be at Pirates. So my mind was
already clocked out.
My mind was already messed up, you know. But thank God that you know, I had parents that I had, and SuperSport was the club that they were. Coach Gavin was the coach that he was. We might have had a tough right there. I apologized to him afterwards. I decided that I'm going to stay because they said stay one more season and you can go anywhere you want to. And I'm like, well, okay, if that's the case, then I'm going to accept this now. I've already played the MTN 8. I'm cup tied. There's no reason to go to Pirates anymore. It's better you just stay here. Change your mind. I changed my mindset. I accepted everything for what it was. And I ended up being the player of the season. And I ended up earning double what I was going to earn at Pirates if I had signed the previous season. So, again, you know, everything happened for a big reason. But I was allowed to go to where I wanted to go.
I mean, this is a team that hasn't won, like, trophies in, like, 10 seasons.
Yeah, that's the first question everybody...
Why
that's the first question everybody asks. And I'm like, well, let me see if I can go make a difference. My mindset was...
You like the challenge.
Let me see. I've reached the ceiling at SuperSport.
Yeah.
That's as much as I'm going to get at SuperSport. You know, it's either I stay there and just be comfortable for the rest of my career and just be a starting lineup player and be content with this life, or join Orlando Pirates where it's difficult to be and see how much I can achieve when I'm there. And it just so happened that the move was probably a match made in heaven. The timing of it, the way everything went when I got there, Coach Ruud Krol, he knew about me. He knew my style of play, embraced me when I got there. and I just fit it in.
You hit the ground running,
I fit it in, I fit it in
Just,
immediately. I scored on my debut, MTN 8 against Santos. Santos was Pirates' hoodoo team. Yeah, I am first match, boom, 2-1 winner. Santos out, we ended up winning the MTN 8. So the timing of the move to Pirates was, I had no clue it's gonna end the way it did. I didn't go there and say I'm gonna, but I went there with the attitude of saying, can I come and help Pirates? Can I come? I've come from winning. This team is talent. They've come close. I've competed against this team for the league title. Maybe if I go there, maybe I can push and something magical can happen, and I knew winning a league title with SuperSport and winning a league title with Orlando Pirates is gonna be daylight. The amount of happy people that you see and you meet in the street and the people you affect by winning a league with Pirates.
You have probably 20 supporters at SuperSport.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody
maybe 3 dogs as well.
The grandstand.
Yeah, there will be.
Suddenly
47 people and 3 dogs.
Now suddenly this big team, everybody they love winning. The culture is winning.
Yeah.
And they stubborn.
Yes.
They stubborn. How they are.
Yeah.
If you don't do well, they can see through you. If you don't,
100%.
If you think you can cheat them.
You can't.
They know.
You cannot.
You know what I mean?
You cannot cheat. You cannot cheat the football supporter.
The difference, and a lot of people say that, you see a player playing SuperSport, he's doing so well, and then boom, he signs by Pirates. Is not the same. What is the difference?
The difference is that some get sucked into the dynamics of the big clubs. There's dynamics of big clubs. I think Chiefs, Pirates, Sundowns, they're all the same. There's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of infighting. There's a lot of, this one has got an opinion, that one has got an opinion. And for me, I did it with Kermit. I said to Kermit, you come into Orlando Pirates. I said, how Pirates operates and what you hear from the outside and whatever, that's out of your control. You control how you train. What's your job? You're going to score goals. You're going to assist. That's all you need to do. Come to training every day, push yourself in the matches, do your job. Everybody's going to love you here. That's how I came to Pirates. I didn't come to Pirates because I've heard this and that and then this, I don't know what, and too many things. But when I got to Pirates, I knew why I came there and what my goal was. Because Rutko, I was a left winger. You need to assist and you need to score. You need to help in defense. I've got 3 things to do and that's it. Have a good attitude at training. That's it.
Up and down.
And then you focus. Then you just focus on that. But now players come and then I've signed for Pirates and I've had 5,000 followers at SuperSport and now all of a sudden I've got 100,000 followers on Twitter. That's the magnitude of the move. That's the amount of people you are now going to affect by your performance and by what the team can do for this people. So I went to the understanding of, I want a Pirate supporter to go to work on Monday happy, because then my week will also then be happy. But now imagine going to Spa and being questioned, why did you guys lose? Instead of saying, every time we win a football match, every time you go out, thank you. Thank you. You're doing well.
That's it.
You understand. So it's a sense of responsibility when you join one of the big 2, especially the Soweto Giants, the derby in itself. My first derby, I scored an own goal.
What were you doing at the back, bro?
We've lost possession in a bad area, and Coach Roetkrol explained it. Well, I explained to Coach Roetkrol on the Monday at training, after that match. He asked me what happened. He had this thing where every Monday he walks around individually with players and just find out how you feel about the game, what's your opinion about the game. And I went out and I said, Coach, we lost the ball in a bad area. I went and did something with my heart. I didn't do something with my head. And you always say, sometimes you must do something with your head more than your heart. And in that moment, I did something with my heart and with my head. Because Rutko looked at me and says, he used to call me Dean, not even Daine.
Yeah.
My name is Daine. I gave up after 1 month. I gave up. Call me Dean. It's fine. So he said to me, Dean, the trainer is very happy because Dean understands when the trainer talks. And then I said, yes, coach, I understand when you talk. Because that's how the Dutch way. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. Whenever I interacted with him, it was always, you listen to what he says and you grasp it.
So now you at Pirates hasn't won a lot of cups in a lot of times, right? You come in, they start winning trophies. You win the leagues. You used to win the leagues. Now you go to the Champions League, you lose that final.
But-
How do you feel, bro? Like you've done it all, and like now the ultimate title, like being like the Continental king,
Yeah.
and you guys were just.
It would have been the cherry
out,
on.
yeah.
It would have been the cherry
Yeah.
on top of a fantastic time at Orlando Pirates. But it wasn't meant to be. If I look at it, even this season for them, saying semi-finals, take your losses. You gotta be there continuously. Sundowns has showed us.
Yeah.
They've won it, and then 2016, and then they haven't won it. But where are they? Semi-finals.
Still there,
Semi-finals. Semi-finals. They keep falling. Eventually, the game is gonna give in. But as long as you make sure that you're there every year. We were there 2013, and then we're here now, 12 years later.
Oof,
So do we, every time magically we want to go and then we win it?
10? No, you can't.
But then you get Al Ahly,
consistency.
then you get Al Ahly and Zamalek and those ones that win it.
Yeah.
You look at the campaigns,
Yeah.
they're always in the semi-finals.
Yeah.
They're hardly ever not in the semi-finals. When they're not in the semi-finals, they're having a disastrous season. Their coach is gone by then. They need to at least make the final.
Yeah.
Or win it.
Why leave Pirates? Why leave Pirates? But like you end up at Wits, and now that's another team that I think the last time they won the league, that's when I was there.
They say all good things. They say all good things come to an end. 4.5 years at Pirates, I got a call from the chairman. I've never gone and seen the chairman in the 4.5 years that I was there. The only time I saw him was when I signed.
I know that. Yeah.
And so, which
And
means
that's
if he hasn't called you in, you
doing good.
There's no problems. You're doing well. You're doing fantastic. There's not an issue or problem with you. Nothing.
If you don't go sit at that long table, then you do something right.
Then I got the call in January, just before the transfer window closes. He says, SuperSport is keen to have you back. Do you want to go back? I'm like, 29 years old now. The club's going to go through a transition. I would love to go back to SuperSport. Okay, no problem. I think it'll make sense because I'm 29, 30, probably thinking about life after football, SuperSport, opportunities SuperSport's going to present to you, etc., etc. But it just didn't work out because Gordon Egerson was the coach at the time there. It just didn't work out. I couldn't stay. Coach Gavin has come up and they've offered me way more than what SuperSport wanted to pay me less than what Pirates was paying me.
Of course, yeah.
At 29 years old, you're thinking, I've got about 5 more solid 5-6 solid
you have
more
to
years
make
left.
money. Those 5
This
years.
is the next 5 years. I really worked hard to be where I am now.
Yeah.
And I got to be earning money now that that's going to be taking me through life. And Wits just came and offered way more, and SuperSport just wouldn't budge. They offered me a little bit less, not that much less than what Pirates was, but our Wits came in and almost offered double. And I was like, this is a no-brainer. Here's a 3-year contract for me.
It's a last push for you.
This is exactly what I wanted.
Last push
this is exactly what I wanted. And I ended up signing a pre-contract in the March, and then joining Bidvest Wits. There was, because Jose Ferreira was also there. Remember, I had him at SuperSport. We all won together at SuperSport.
Yeah, SuperSport, he was with Sundowns. Now he's back at Wits now.
Now he's back at Wits. And when the call came and the offer came, there was no two ways about it. I'm like, Jesus, these people value me so high. Why will I not want to play for them?
For once you like the money.
And
once you're like, nah.
Yeah, and SuperSport with Mr. Stan Matthews, we had a fantastic relationship. He's like, if you get a better offer, then by all means, you can go.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. Maybe they thought I was going to get a better offer.
Yeah.
But it just so happened that I got a better offer, and I ended up going to Wits for 3 years, winning 3 trophies again, winning another league title with him. So actually knocking out SuperSport in the quarterfinals of the MTN8.
Sundowns 3-0.
Sundowns in the final, so...
Scored a praise.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think it was my best game of my life. I think
it was.
My index was 300 and... What was it? 318? That's 300... Somewhere there, Ronaldo, Messi's index is 300 and something.
Yes, bro, yeah.
That game, my index was like, I was like...
What was going on? What was going on in your mind, bro? Like in that game?
Sundowns was focusing on... We had lost the league.
Did you have was the captain there? Masha was there?
No.
Masha was already left.
No, Masha has gone to Chiefs by then.
Yeah.
He has left. We had Tyson was the captain.
Yeah.
At that stage. We had Palembe on the right hand side, and me on the left hand side.
What a player.
And then you had the midfield was Tabang Munare, Kolam Lambo, Ngele, Toto Ngele.
What a player.
Safisho Mieni, The squad was unbelievable. The defense, you had Bootle and Tyson, tough as nails at the back, any header, anything goes. It was just
Tyson,
our departments of the team, and we lost the league. What really
towards the end
pissed me off was we lost the league against Sundowns the first season, and we had to make a guard of honor.
That pissed you off, right?
It pissed me off completely. I came in the changing room afterwards. Like, I got up. I'm like, guys, next season we're not doing this. The guard of honor is gonna be made for us next season. We gotta make sure of that.
Then was that you in the changing room most of the time, bro?
I was a beast when I came in the changing room, because Gavin used to hate it when we're not. Gavin was this coach. When we're not playing well, and as a player, you can sometimes feel we're not playing well at the moment, and we shouldn't be struggling against this team. There's no chance, not on paper. The talent in our changing room compared to that, we should be dominating, and we're at home here. Then we're not playing the way we should. I would come into the changing room.
You are at home.
Yeah, so I would come in the changing room.
Tell the people at home like how the old players used to look at it. When you're playing at home, what happens?
When I play at home, I want to leave here with 3 points. There's nobody's going to come into my house and just take what they want. There's no chance.
What's going on with the boys today? The boys today don't understand it. You can't be losing at home. You can't come into my house
But then I see Richards Bay and TS Galaxies playing in Etteridgeville. So wow, where's our home grounds then? There's no sense of home.
Okay.
So when are you home and when are you away? Because at the moment it's home and away and away and away.
Which trophy would stand out in your career? I would say, you know what, Jay, like this one.
I think I was fortunate. I think 3 times. I was fortunate to lift a league trophy for the first time for that team. So for SuperSport, I lifted for the first time. For Pirates, I lifted it for the first time.
Okay.
And then for Wits, I've lifted it for the first time. So that feeling of first time, for Wits especially, I mean, you were at Wits for 96 years. Wits never won the league title, and that was it.
Yeah.
And after that, the club is no more.
Yeah.
And I look back and I'm like, geez, I was
part
there.
Of that history.
I was actually part of
that history.
Of that first time for them.
Yeah, rich history.
So it was the first time for them, the first time for me, doing it for them. And similar to with Pirates and SuperSport, but I think the first one will always be special. It wasn't the ideal. We ended up losing the game. Ajax could have snatched it from under our noses, but we ended up managing to lift that first trophy. And I think the league doesn't give you a picture of the last game. The league is throughout the season. You got to go back and think how you struggled in Free State Stars whenever you go there. You go to Pucharichaba. The lights is off. We get there, the lights is load shedding, the lights not working. Now you did the trip. Now you have to come back. You didn't play the game. Remember, you must go back again. Maybe in 2 or 3 weeks' time, you're gonna do that trip again.
That trip, bro.
So that's what makes a season in the PSL. Trips like that, the difficult trips that that a Free State Stars is gonna be a difficult team to go away to mentally on the bus. You're there in the mountains. It's very, very cold when it's
stadium is like
time.
there. The stands are there. You don't even.
It's ice cold that night. And it's just an experience.
The changing room there's no lights in the changing room.
Yeah, there's no lights, there's no hot water.
No hot water. It's like crazy. This is a big stadium, but nothing is functioning in there.
Yeah.
I mean, you did so well. I mean, played against you. I've seen what you've done. But why 14 caps in the Bafana squad, bro?
It's something. Bafana is the one part of my game that was out of my hands. You get what I can control in football is the way I train, the way I play, the way I perform. That's as much as I can do. Selecting myself for the national team was not one of the things that I could do. I've Coach Stuart Baxter. Wow, that was unbelievable for me. Making my debut in the Gold Cup in 2005 against Guatemala. I came off the bench first for like 15 minutes or 12 minutes. And then obviously making my debut in the quarterfinals. I was with Gif Leremi in Kamp. The reason I played was because Gif misbehaved. Because we were sharing
what a player, bro.
What a player.
Yeah,
do you know what Gif did in the camp? We in camp. We're in a 2-week camp. We're traveling all over America. We're going from LA to New York to Texas. We're playing at different stadiums, different venues. So the experience in itself is like, wow, at the beginning of my career in this Bafana setup, because Stuart Baxter is one that's going to bring you in gradually. He was a perfect coach for Bafana. That was the Darren Buckley, Benny era, where everything just came together. And he was a brilliant coach. Like, but that camp for me, my eyes just went.
I tell people
this
that
is
people
something
don't
I'm
agree
not,
with me.
This is something I'm not used
What
to.
a-
The
yeah.
critical phases,
Yeah, yeah.
the amount of learning in that camp, and the way he operated as a coach. I've never seen anything like
I
it.
tell people that.
I've never ever seen anything.
I tell people
Everything
that. Yeah,
is
yeah,
planned
Yeah,
to the T. And I'm
Yeah.
talking, this is 2005.
yeah.
Not even 2014 when you guys won the league. Imagine he comes 2014, he wins the league.
Mm.
Structure.
Yeah.
His structure was solid.
Yeah.
Set pieces, critical phase. He was a master of critical phases. I learned about
He'll
critical.
tell you when you're gonna win the game or how you're gonna lose it.
You
And
know-
if you lose it, he told you it's like
He tells you there's reasons
yeah.
as to where you lost it, how
Yeah,
you lost it.
yeah, yeah.
There's a debrief after every match. There's a
Yeah.
debrief. There's a pre-match meeting, the organization, and you
Hardly
started.
train, you had to
I-
run.
I-
You had to go on the
Yes,
mountain.
I then now learn. I go from Coach Pizzo.
Yeah.
But I didn't go from Coach Pizzo. I then go into this environment. International. Oh, this is international standards.
Hold on there. From Gavin, from climbing the mountain with bricks on your shoulders,
Yes.
and then you go to Coach Stuart Baxter.
That was before that.
You hardly even run.
That
You
was even
always,
before that.
Yeah, I understand
Yeah.
it. But you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
how was it for you? Just this guy, you had to train.
Work smart.
Yeah,
and hard.
you're crazy.
Work smart. He
Yeah.
really, we worked so smart, and I was like, this is how modern football is going to develop. There's no more going to be running up the mountains. Everything is going to be related to the game. Now there's science coming in. Now there's everything coming in.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and that's why I want to learn holistically. You know, I want to know what my biokineticist knows. You know, I'm invested into the biokineticist is to work on injury prevention techniques, and of course, getting players back from injury as quickly as they can with the expertise.
Yeah.
You know, and the respect you have for that craft as a coach. If you give appreciation to that, it comes back to you because you get the player back quicker, and then you get the understanding. So I understand that the modern game is, yes, we want to be old school, we want this. There's elements that I can use from old school, but there's certain elements that I picked up and I'm like, no,
Don't forget the
I'm
mental.
not doing
Yeah,
I'm not doing
yeah.
that. That's something I'm taking with me.
Yeah.
That's something I'm taking with me. That day, I hated that when the coach did that. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
want
yeah.
to do that because
Yeah, yeah.
I hated it.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no way if someone else hates it, but that's how you end up,
Yeah.
learning about the game is that I want to be a head coach, but I understand that my role as a head coach is not to be the only one that makes decisions. There's going to be a team around me that's going to help me so much with everything else. And when key decisions needs to be made, I need to make the right one with their help.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the whole mentality, and that's what football has evolved into now.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I've learned back then when I got into the national team camp. It was like, wow, there's international standards. This is international because we played against Mexico the first game. Marquez was still playing for Barcelona by then.
Yes.
You know, so that's the level that we are. You know, Belenonvete is playing in Italy back then. He's
Yeah,
scoring.
Udinese.
He's Udinese.
Yeah,
You know,
Udinese,
El
yeah.
Rio is playing for Copenhagen.
And you have
You know?
you have Zuma as well, Copenhagen.
You know,
Rio
Rio-
was on fire. They're
You
just
know,
like
it's-
just being promoted in Copenhagen first team, just scoring week in, week out.
Yeah, and my comfort always came from the fact that El Rio was in the World Cup squad. We grew up
Yes,
together. We went to school together. We trained together. At least one of us has then done it. I was so happy for him because
Yeah.
I aspired to be there. I didn't make it. I had no regrets. Disappointed, of course, because I was a player of the season. But I had absolutely no regrets of how I went about trying to make the team.
How would you want people to remember Stiga? To remember you.
I think I still get it to this day. You know, whenever I step out into the streets, especially when in and around Johannesburg, well, anywhere in the country. I mean, I traveled with Chippa. We went to Durban when we traveled through the Eastern Cape, and we stopped at a village, you know, and a gas station in a small little village, and the guy recognizes you, and you end up realizing, geez, man, I didn't know that this place, number one, existed in South Africa, and number two, I would never have imagined this guy to know my name and surname. But the depths of what you do and how you do it gets spotted in areas where you will never imagine. You never imagine who has spotted. I mean, we had the MTN campaign, remember?
Yes,
And we would go into the little,
yeah.
little villages to the radio stations.
Oh, yes. Where there's no
remember?
TV
yes,
at all.
there's no TV at all. The people listen to the game on the radio.
Yes, but
And yet they know you. And yet they will say, I've got a poster of you. And it's a city there. We go to Imalahleni there.
I've never been there before.
You know, and these people, they get so excited when you get into the area. And then you're like, that's how I want to make people feel. And I'm grateful to still have that when I go outside and whichever shop. And thank you for what you did to Pirates. We loved watching you play because essentially you wear your heart on your sleeve. And whether I play good or bad, or whether I score or I don't score, when I walk off that pitch, people must say, they will clap hands, they'll appreciate it. And that's what I'm seeing with Pirates right now, is that whenever they don't win even, the supporters are still there because of the amount of times they win and the amount of effort and everything the players and the technical team gives. The people start appreciating, even when you don't win anymore now. Now they start appreciating it. Sundowns has reached that level where even when they lose matches, the fans are still going to be there. And Pirates is bringing that, and hopefully Chiefs can too, because I think it will be fantastic for the three of them to start competing.
Wow. Daine, I've kept you here for 3 hours, bro. Like, we're going to have 2 episodes because of you. But, thanks for coming through and sharing your stories with us. I mean, Izinja zeGame's fans are like, been complaining. They want to hear stories like this. I mean, they know us only on playing football on the pitch, but they don't understand
how the dynamics.
Like now they understand the coach side of Daine, not what actually put you through, what you went through in the game. Good. When you were scoring those goals, the mentality that you had. I mean, imagine a youngster just sitting at home and just watching this. For him, it's like if he was always relaxing and training, taking it easy. Now he understands what it takes to be the best. You know what I mean? I really appreciate it. I obviously enjoyed sharing the time with you on the field.
No, it's same with me. You know what I thought about when I saw you the other day. I told you about Country View.
Yeah.
We both stayed in Country View. Right at the beginning of that's the first apartment I bought. And we were still dating our girlfriends.
So that's the same apartment I stayed with the Katra, pa.
Yes,
we were staying in the same apartment.
Yes, Pa.
The first time
we were staying in the same section. We had the same the gate.
Yes.
You were right next to the gate.
Oh yeah.
So I had to go past your place every time.
My dad chucked me out of the house, and I had to get an apartment there. So when I bought it, there was a lot of SuperSport players there. I'm like, I think I bought it in the wrong place. I need to move out of this. But I mean, just crazy, just if we can still have conversations about this, about the game, and we can still be friends. I mean, I'm friends with guys I've never played. I've never played with in the team, and now when I'm spending time with these guys, I'm like, these guys are great. But when we stepped out on the field, it was like a tiger and a lion going against each other. So it's so amazing now.
It was a tough battle.
I'm making a lot of friends just because of the show. You know what I mean? And I mean, keep on being the humble human being that you are.
No,
you know what I mean? And I hope that you're gonna end up being like Bupito, Gavin Hunt. I mean, these are the people that have built you, people that started from School of Excellence. I hope you're still talking to those people if some of them are still alive or whatever.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But I mean, dog, thanks for coming through, and I know the guys at home are gonna enjoy the story. And guys, you can find us on YouTube. You can also find us on mtnfc.co.za, where you can win yourself some few prizes. There's gonna be jerseys that are gonna be signed, that we have signed as well, and other prizes that you can win yourself there. And keep on supporting us. This show wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for MTNFC as well. Good looking out, MTNFC. We out. See you next week.